mother, what would she tell you about coming over to this country?
She didn't want to. Her mother only had her and the brother that had gotten married in New York, and one brother who died quite young. But so she didn't want to leave her mother. But her father had a mill, and the mill wheel caught him, and he broke his pelvis, and he couldn't work. So they became quite hard up, and that's why she was apprenticed to a seamstress, and that's why she hated sewing so much, because she was apprenticed to the seamstress who didn't feed you a thing. She had to go home every weekend. She'd get a loaf of bread and a herring, and that had to last her all week. That was their pay. They didn't get paid. So she starved, you know. So she connected sewing with starving. She didn't want to come over, but my father sent the ticket. And her mother said, you'll have a better life. You'll not have a good life now that your father's laid up. There's no money coming in. And she knew that she would not have a good life. But he knew her as a girl, and she was very pretty. And he liked her.
Did she say things about the trip over and arriving at...
Oh, it was horrible, she said. Horrible. She had to come in steerage. In those days, you did. That's all that everybody could afford. And she said people were sick, and you got no air. And it was disgustingly rough. And she just hated every day of it. It was about 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Did she sleep in a room with, like a big open room? With
a whole bunch of... And I said, couldn't they let you go out on deck? And she said, well, the weather was bad. It was winter. And some women were with babies, and babies would cry all the time. And she said it was a terrible trip.
And then she got to Ellis Island, and...
I think my father went and picked her up, which for him was a big trip. He didn't like to leave Martha's Vineyard. Once he got here, this was the whole world. He didn't want to ever travel anywhere.
Well, he was late meeting her boat, and she almost had given up. There were Jewish organizations who looked out for the immigrants. HIAS, H-I-A-S, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, would take them in hand and find them a place to live and find them a job in a sweatshop or wherever they were able to find jobs for them. And my father was supposed to meet her at the boat, and he wasn't there, because she was in Ellis Island. And she was able to leave, but she kept waiting for him, and she almost had given up hope that he was going to come. And finally he got there,